Hey everyone, I'm Danny and welcome to Wizardry Workshop. Today we're going to be making a batch of new chocolate frog cards, and these are actually lenticular cards. If you don't know what lenticular means, that's the cards that you would look at, and when you turn them and you look at them from a different angle, they'll actually animate a little bit. It looks a little something like this, and these are what we're making today. Go ahead and check out the description box for a list of all the supplies you're going to need to make this DIY, as well as the free downloadable templates, and let's get started. As always, you're going to want to download and print the templates. There should be 6 pages. You can print these all out on regular paper, just single-sided. The very last page has a little cut shape down here, so that's what we want to do first. Using a ruler and X-Acto knife, first let's cut out the very middle rectangle. So we'll put that aside, and now let's cut out the actual shape of the card. Now we can take that cut template that we made right out of there, and this is what we're going to need for cutting out like the harder cardstock. Now the lenticular part. So I couldn't find any easy way to make a lenticular print at home that wasn't just insanely difficult, or you need specific tools in order to do it that are expensive. So I thought, we already have lenticular cards from Harry Potter. These come with the actual chocolate frogs. So if you buy the chocolate frogs, which you can get a lot of different places, they have these lenticular cards. So why not just reuse these and just make them look better? Because I gotta be honest, when I first got a chocolate frog and got the card, I was underwhelmed by the design of this. It's just not magical. Why is it white and gold, and why is it square? Like, they should have just done the cards like this, in my opinion. So let's fix that. Today I'm going to be making Hufflepuff, because I am a Hufflepuff. You can do this with all the different cards. I made one for each of the cards you can get that are this series of cards. So we're going to do Hufflepuff today, but this applies to any of these cards. Cut this out, decide which card you're doing, find it, cut it out, and cut them in half so that you have each piece separate, the front and the back. We're also going to need some chipboard. I have these little pieces of chipboard, and I don't remember exactly where I got them or where they came from, but they're about the thickness of a cereal box, I think. So you could use a cereal box for this as well. And if that's not quite thick enough, you could probably glue 2 cereal box parts together to make it thicker. But you want it to be the same thickness as the chocolate frog card, this lenticular card. I just kind of lucked out with these because they are exactly the same thickness, and I don't know the exact weight of this. Take a paper clamp and clamp your template to the cardboard. Now you can take a Sharpie and just kind of trace that inner square. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to worry if you get marks on the template itself. It doesn't matter. This is just so that we can get that exact size and shape of that rectangle here. Now we can go in and cut our rectangle out. Now with that square, that rectangle cut out of our cardboard, of our chipboard here, you can take your chocolate frog card and place it behind it. I'm going to use this to sort of frame Helga in there, but you want to make sure that none of that white border is showing and this little Wizarding World circle isn't showing through. You want to kind of frame whoever you're doing so that you can just see them on the inside like this. Now once you've got it exactly where you want it, use a paper clamp or 2 to clamp it in there so that it doesn't move around. And with that done, all we need to do is cut Helga, or whoever you're doing, right out using this square template. And you can kind of move your clamps around so that you can get to the different parts that need to get cut out. Looks like these last couple of cuts we're going to have to be just very careful not to move the lenticular card as we cut. Now that should get Helga right out of the card. We don't need this piece anymore. You can kind of clean up those corners if you got like a little bit in the corners that didn't quite cut through. And now we just have animated Helga. You can keep using this as a template to frame your cards and cut them out. Now we'll need another 2 pieces, so I'm going to cut this one right down the middle. We just need to make sure that they are both big enough for this template to be cut out. I'll take Helga, whoever you cut out, hold them down, and then just trace them with a pencil. And be careful not to move them during this process because you want it to be exactly the same size and shape as what you cut out. And now we cut out this square. Now what you want to do with this is make sure that the lenticular card that you cut out fits pretty much perfectly in there without any overlap. If there is overlap, you're going to need to trim it down a bit because you want it to sit in there pretty flush across the top. I've got Helga in there pretty snug, so snug that she kind of just sits in there without needing any glue or anything at the moment. Next step, we're going to need a glue stick. Flip the cardboard over so it's face down, and then put glue over the entire back side of this cardboard, and then we're going to glue it down onto this other piece. I'm using my bone folding tool to really smooth it down. If you haven't guessed it yet, Helga is going to get glued right in the center there where we made her frame. So go ahead and put glue all over the back of your lenticular cutout, and then we're going to place it right into that rectangular frame that we cut out. Again, I'm going to use my bone folding tool to get it nice and flat. At this point, we should be right here. And now we need the front cutout for the card. So I'm going to just take some scissors and put a little hole right in there like this so that I can cut out the interior of this. You just want to cut out all the like solid yellow from the middle part, this middle frame. So there we go. Now I do have a Cricut, and you might be just thinking to yourself, why didn't I use my Cricut to do that? The answer is this is just such a precise alignment. It was impossible to get the Cricut to cut it exactly where it needed to be. It was always a little bit off one way or the other, up or down, and it just doesn't work. So unfortunately, I feel you need to do this by hand to get it to look right. Put it upside down on your scrap paper and use your glue stick to cover the entire back side of this. Line it up with your card cutout and very carefully smooth it down. Again, I'm using my bone folding tool to do this. It's already looking pretty cool, but we need to wait for this to dry. We want it to dry pretty well before we actually start cutting on this, because I got impatient when I was making one of these, and I cut it pretty much right after I glued it down, and the paper just kind of like rips along the edges because it's still a little bit wet from that glue. So let's let it dry for a little while. You could even put a book on top of it or something if you want to make sure it's 100% flat. Put something heavy on top. But yeah, let's give it 20 minutes or so to dry before we start cutting. I'm also putting a brand new X-Acto blade into my cutting tool because that is going to also make sure that I don't accidentally rip the paper. You just have to be careful not to let things snag as you're cutting. Well, now this side looks great, but the back doesn't look so great. So Now's the time to cut the back out, line it up, and glue it on, again, with a glue stick. And glue that right onto the back. I'm going to smooth it down with my bone folding tool again. And now we should be right here, looking pretty cool with an animated image. If you want to do this next part, you can. It's not necessary, but if you turn it to the side, you can see the brown cardboard there. And in the movie prop, it's actually black. So I'm going to use a Sharpie and just really carefully color the edges black so that we don't see the brown. I think my Sharpie is actually starting to run out of ink. So not quite as black as I wanted it, but it'll work. Whoops. So yeah, I'll probably go back over that with a better Sharpie or maybe a black paint pen because my Sharpie was running out of ink. But you get the idea. That's what we're going for. And now we have an animated lenticular chocolate frog card. And this will fit my chocolate frog card box as well. This is the same templates for the cards for those is what I use to make these. So yeah, you can now put an animated card in with your chocolate frogs. Let me know what you guys think of these animated lenticular Harry Potter cards. I know that the animation is actually on the card that we cut this out of, but I think that it looks way better on the actual chocolate frog card design from the movies. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. I think this turned out awesome. I think it looks really good. So yeah, that's just my own opinion. Don't mean to toot my own horn, but it just turned out really great and I'm happy with it. If you made it all the way to the end of the video with me, you're a wizard, Harry. Give the video a thumbs up down below if you did like this DIY, and subscribe if you're not subscribed for more Harry Potter DIYs and magical content. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.